This is Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger, and you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
This podcast is made in collaboration with the Jewish Journal. Check them out at jewishjournal.com. Also in collaboration with Arutz Sheva, IsraelNationalNews.com. And last but not least, in collaboration with Australian Jewish News, check them out at ajn.timesofisrael.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, visit 2njb.com/donate.
Yes. Can we start?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course we can start.
Who were you texting?
I wasn't texting. I was looking for an article.
Oh,
Yes. Hello,
What's up?
Guys.
what's
It's
up?
been a whole month
Yeah.
since our last monthly recap.
And what a month has it been?
It's been a month.
You had some tests and
Yeah. Started studying economics and
stuff.
history.
You never give up, do you?
No. Second time's the charm.
Cheers. Guys,
Cheers.
is two guys drinking white wine gay? Is that not a
I'll
PC
let the
question?
silence speak for itself.
Okay.
It's not gay as much as it is.
I meant queer.
Homoerotic.
Oh.
Okay.
But that's the whole concept of the
Of
of the
what?
podcast.
Yes.
I mean,
True.
that's why
really?
people.
What? It's been 4 years, guys.
Yeah.
It has been 4 years.
Right.
I mean, is it actually? Is it like exactly
on the
August
17th.
10th?
On the 17th.
Fuck. We should have done. I mean, shit.
Should have done.
We should have done it
On the exact
week. Yeah, on the
date.
exact date.
Look, but I have a surprise for you. Here we
okay.
are.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Is this our first episode?
Live from Tel Aviv, two nice Jewish boys, Eitan Weinstein
We gotta find this
and
guy.
Naor Menninger.
I got him from Fiverr.
Hello, everyone.
We're two nice Jewish boys, and in front of me is Mr. Eitan Weinstein.
The nicest of Jewish boys.
Yeah. Well, here we are. What's up?
Everything's good. I mean, except for, the car accident I just came out of, but I mean,
So that's
other
why
than
you were
that-
hardly
Oh, no.
breathing?
Yeah,
Oh, I
exactly.
remember
I'm
that.
holding my I breath was in a car because I'm accident still right in
before the
post-trauma
episode.
from the car accident with Esty, actually. Okay.
With S?
Are we going to listen to the whole episode now?
No.
Yeah, this car stopped in front of me, I think, and then I didn't stop in time, and I hit her. I had a fender bender,
Mm.
and then she took my information. She never got back to me.
Oh.
So
Really?
I
I thought-
got off that one scot
So
free.
she's not the girl you got married.
No.
to-
It
okay.
wasn't the beginning of a rom-com.
Okay. But here's what was on the agenda. Gal Gadot and Israeli actors trying to make it in the States.
Oh, this was like at the beginning of Gal Gadot's days. Before Wonder Woman.
Was it before Wonder Woman? Yeah,
I think so.
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. The elections in the USA, as perceived from here,
Wow.
and Olympics, 44 medals to the USA versus 2 to Israel. Should we give up?
Wait, I want to see when Wonder Woman was made.
Anyway, so 4 years.
2017. Yeah, it was before Wonder Woman.
yeah.
Before Gal Gadot was a thing.
Yeah.
Like nobody knew who Gal Gadot was back then.
Right.
I mean, they knew her from like Fast and the Furious, but like they didn't know her.
But we knew.
We did.
And we told her,
We
Gal,
did.
you're going to make it.
We're like, Gal, we got to have you on the podcast.
Yeah. Never
She
heard
never
back.
responded.
But she will be on the show one day, guys. We
One
promise.
One
We
day.
promise. Even if we have to break an entry to her
No,
Nivette
no, do
Tzedek
not say that.
apartment
That is...
and
I,
and
Oh, now we
hold
have to
her
cut
kids
ties.
hostage until she agrees to the interview.
I think that might be illegal, like what you just said. Not even doing it. But I think in 4 years from now, we'll listen to this episode and be like, oh my God, that's before Gal Gadot came on the podcast.
Right.
Also, it's been years, and that'll be the moment I shoot myself. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Live on air. It'll be an episode to remember.
Right.
Wow, dude, 4 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations to us.
Congratulations.
This
Yeah.
is the longest commitment that I've ever made.
And that you never will make.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I told you the other day, like it forever it'll be a longer relationship than you have with your current wife.
Yeah, with all due respect to Shalon,
Yeah.
this is a longer commitment. We have to break up for like a year so that like my marriage is longer than this.
So yeah,
Wow.
guys,
All right.
the episode is out there. It's very embarrassing.
Yeah.
but
Don't listen to it.
Don't listen to it unless you have to. But yeah,
Unless someone's holding a gun to your head. But yeah, go
it's
go
nice.
listen to it.
It's nice. So what's up? So many things are taking place right now.
Yeah.
There's this thing. It's not on the agenda, but today. So a few months ago, during an operation in the territories, there was an arrest of a terrorist in this village, and this IDF soldier, Gal. Oh God.
Gal something. Okay.
No.
Don't pull a Chaim Topol.
I'm pulling a topol.
You're pulling a Topol.
Oh God. Okay, guys, we'll write his name. But very IDF soldier was murdered by a Palestinian guy threw a brick
By throwing a brick on his
on
head.
his head from a top floor
Yeah.
of a building. And they found this guy and they imprisoned him, I think, or they shot him while arresting him. I'm not sure.
No, I think they caught him.
They
because
caught him, yeah.
He reenacted the scene for them. I remember reading about that.
So today, there's a thing, Amit Ben Igal
That's the name of the soldier.
of the soldier, Zal.
May he rest in peace.
So today, what's going on here? The thing is, guys, when such a thing happens in Israel, they are they want to ruin the home from which, like the terrorist's home.
Yeah,
That's
the
practice
home of the family.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
common practice, because they found that it prevents terrorists think twice before committing the act if they know that their families won't have a place to live in.
Mm-hmm.
But always the families appeal to the Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
against the decision. And today the Supreme Court ruled that the IDF cannot demolish the home of the terrorist because he has a wife and 8 kids, and it's not their fault, although he operated from this home.
This is the first time.
I
That
think
such
it's very rare that they don't approve it. I mean,
It's never reached the Supreme Court. Or has
no,
it reached
it
there?
always reaches.
And it reaches, and then they usually approve it.
Usually they approve, although throughout the years, like in the beginning, they would demolish the entire home, and slowly but surely, the Supreme Court
said you can only
made
demolish
it,
this part
yes,
or that part.
eventually it became
You can only demolish his room.
satirical. Yeah,
You can only take down the Hamas poster in his room.
exactly. Eventually, like today, they're doing ridiculous things like ruining one room or something, and then they rebuild it within a day or some ridiculous stuff. But yeah, today they really said like you can't do anything, more or less.
Yeah. This is like a huge issue, by the way, guys. In Israel, it's not so much an issue in the States. We've done episodes on it in the past with Talia Einhorn. Michael Oren has talked about this on the podcast before. But basically, the relationship and the power dynamics between the Supreme Court and the legislative and executive branches. So, like, the different branches of government, separation of branches, separation of powers here in Israel, the judicial has a lot more power than it does in the United States. It's not as politically of a platform. I mean, it is, but it's not. They're not political appointments.
Right.
Um,
We don't have any means to deter terrorists from committing their acts. Like today, they have lots of incentives to actually kill and commit terrorist attacks because they get money from the PA.
If they get caught and put in Israeli jail, they have a high likelihood of being released in some exchange later on and
Right.
living a pretty comfortable life until that point.
Also, if
in an
they're
Israeli
Israeli
prison.
citizens, if
Along with, like, hundreds of their friends. So
And if-
basically, they go to, like, a terrorist camp where
Yeah.
they hang out with them.
it's usually pretty fun down there with meals and
It's not a joke. You're
No,
not
no,
joking.
I'm not joking. There's this terror balance between the jails in Israel, guys. It's not orange. Maybe it
It's
is
the new
orange.
black.
It's the
It's
new
not
black.
Guantanamo Bay.
It's not Guantanamo Bay. No, and it's not Oz. It's pretty. It's a joke basically, especially if you're a Palestinian terrorist, because there's this equilibrium of fear and powers between the prisoners.
As in any prison, but just a large amount of the prisoners are national security prisoners,
Right.
prisoners that are in prison for.
And there's the status quo where they get pretty much an
Whatever they want.
autonomy.
Yeah.
They have this autonomy there. They can party. They get all the ingredients to throw huge feasts, and
Yeah.
they get visits. It's not that bad.
One of the most famous restaurants in Israel, Dr. Shakshuka,
Mhm.
is actually a guy who started his way making shakshukot in prison
Yeah.
for the other prisoners.
Right.
He would, he knew the guards. He would get all the ingredients, and he would make shakshukot. And then, he became well known, and they started calling him Dr. Shakshuka. And now every single American who comes to Israel knows Dr. Shakshuka. That
Yeah.
guy started in prison.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that the state has not much options when it comes to deter terrorists, and the fact that they knew that if they'll do something, their family would remain practically homeless, that really helped, according to specialists, prevent and
It doesn't matter if it helps or not, though. That's the point, right? Is that it's not a decision for the Supreme Court to make. I mean, there's nothing unconstitutional.
they're not even citizens, right?
They're not citizens, exactly. So there's no the Israeli law does not
abide.
it's not relevant for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not Israeli citizens. So you could say that we need to abide by certain international laws of war, or
Mm-hmm.
the Geneva Convention. That's fine, but this isn't a judicial matter. This is a executive.
But here
and
everything is
legislative
judicial matter.
Yeah.
So
But I don't think it's just terrorism. There was another story this week about the father of a social media icon here in Israel.
she's a
was-
children's star.
She's an Instagram star. She's a social media personality.
Right.
And she's this young girl. She just, I think, drafted to the military.
Mm-hmm.
And her father it was discovered that he created a fan page for all her
NBT.
fans.
Ronen Biti is his
On
name.
NBT. Created a fan page for all her fans. And, many people subscribed to it. And then he
Kids.
started, many kids. Young girls, some of them as young as, I think, 12, 11.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically elicited them to send him nude pictures. He sent them videos of him masturbating.
Right. If
So,
it were America, how much would he get?
possibly a life sentence, 20 years in prison.
Really?
I mean, yeah. These kind of sexual offenses, I'm not a criminal justice lawyer, but I'm pretty sure he would get a very severe sentence. I read an article that said that he might have gotten a life sentence. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but he would definitely get much more than what he got here, which is
3 months parole.
9 months, I think.
9
9 months community service.
Community services. Yeah.
9 months community service.
Not a
day
single
in
day in jail. Where Bar Rafaeli's mother
Oh my God.
Bar Refaeli's mother, guys. If you don't know, Bar Refaeli was involved in this. Bar Refaeli is the supermodel. I guess everybody knows her, right?
Yeah.
She got hooked up in this huge scandal where she allegedly
Evaded taxes
in tens of millions of shekels,
Yeah.
and fraud and stuff like that. And eventually, her mother came
Took
to
the-
save. Took
the
the
bullet.
blow. Took the bullet, and she's gonna sit 1.5 years in jail. For those tax
So
offenses,
for tax evasion,
which is fine by me. I mean, I think tax evasion is severe, and if you do it with such huge numbers, you should sit in jail.
yeah.
But
It doesn't make
guys,
any sense that tax
there's no
evasion
justice.
is,
This is the point, I think, of this whole conversation.
Yeah.
There's no justice in Israel.
Or there's not.
It's
there's
random.
justice.
It's
But no,
random.
yeah. I don't know if it's not so much like I don't know. I mean I haven't done a comprehensive study on it, but it's not so much random.
You
it
came
just
here
feels
ill-prepared.
Yeah. It just feels that it is not justice isn't served, not like ever or at all, but to the proper degree and contextually, right?
Yeah.
So you have a sex offender who scars the minds of 10-year-olds, and he gets 9 months community service, and then you have, a woman who gets caught for tax evasion and serves 1.5 years in prison. Then you get terrorists who smash the baby's head in with a rock and sit in prison for, 10, 15, 20 years, and then get exchanged for that person should be put to death. I mean, what was his name? The one that was exchanged in the Gilad Shalit one.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. He's a famous terrorist. He bashed a baby's head in with a rock,
Mm-hmm.
and then he gets released. So sometimes it feels like, and the argument is usually we need these, judges, these intellectuals to kind of watch over the crazy politicians who have all these malicious interests, but in the end you find that they do this, they give a sex offender 9 months community service. It's just unbelievable.
Anyway, Seth Rogen.
Maybe Seth Rogen has a point.
So Seth Rogen was on Mark Maron's podcast recently. I mean, Mark Maron's podcast, it's not as good as our podcast, but it's an okay podcast.
It's a decent podcast.
It's decent. It's decent.
He gets a good amount of downloads.
So here's what Seth said. Maybe you read it.
No, you go. You do it.
He said, and we quote, "You don't keep all your Jews in one basket. I don't understand why they did that. It makes no sense whatsoever. You don't keep something you're trying to preserve all in one place, especially when that place has proven to be pretty volatile. I'm trying to keep all these things safe. I'm going to put them in my blender and hope that that's the best place that'll do it."
Yeah.
And then he said that he was fed a huge amount of lies about Israel during his youth. And he said, and we quote, "They never tell you that, oh, by the way, there were people there in Israel, Palestine. They make it seem like the expletive.
Expletive is like
doors
the
open.
fucking doors were open.
Okay, I see.
It's a curse word.
So those are the quotes. So first things first, to Seth. So
the first part's kind of funny. I mean, it's funny. Like I don't know how serious he is about it, but it's kind of funny.
Unless he's serious. Like it's funny, but it's stupid. It's pretty stupid. I mean, to me, the most annoying thing is when he says they never tell you. By the way, there were people there. Seth, darling, there were people in America too before you guys came.
Yeah, but he would probably tell you, yeah, that's why we need to. I can't do a Seth Rogen impression. It's like,
what would he say to that?
That's why we need to pay reparations, and America is built on the blood and tears of Native Americans.
If you're really
and slavery.
serious about that ideology, then you should move out and let
Give
your
your house to a Native American.
give it all to them. I mean, if we're fair, if you want to be fair and square,
Yeah.
that's the decent thing to do.
Yeah. You're living on tribal
occupied
tribal land, so
yeah.
you should vacate your house and give it to a Native American.
Yeah, I mean, if
It's true.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
I mean, come on, it's
Who
the
is
hypocrisy.
benefiting from
It's-
these sins more than the people who themselves who are,
It's amazing how Americans, and especially from certain parts of politics in America, they forget, and they talk about the occupation and they talk about the Palestinians. Guys, I mean, look at what your ancestors did. Okay,
Yeah.
focus on that. When you solve that, you know what I just read? Fascinating. Did you know? Did you know that the Indian Native American reserves and reservations in America, they're going to be the last to open after COVID
How come?
hits? Turns out they are so traumatized by the viruses that annihilated them when the Europeans invaded, that their whole approach to viruses and sickness, they're extra safe and careful.
Because of the small.
They were the first to close, and they'll be the last to open. That's what I read, at least. I don't know if it's true, but it's interesting.
I think the issue is that like everything is taken out of context. I mean, first of all, slavery and some of the things that the forefathers or I mean certain Americans or colonialists did to Native Americans was pretty horrific. Some of the things that Native Americans did to other Native Americans and did to colonialists was pretty horrific. Everything's taken out of context. It's like, we're the best. Ben Shapiro has a great line. We're the best people who ever lived, and we're, pure. It's like, it's so easy to look to the past and say like, oh my God, there were, they forget to tell you there were people here. It's like, okay, yeah, there was also a war and there was a Holocaust happening and people were looking for, their ancient homeland for some security. And
There were also Jews here, by the way.
there were also Jews here who were getting murdered by Arabs, by Arab rioting.
There was also a lot of land that was bought legally by Jews from Arabs.
Yeah.
Loads of land. Loads and loads of land.
Yeah.
But another point, I think, when he says, I don't know if we were fed a huge amount of lies about Israel. I mean, dude, you have internet since what? In America since 93, 94?
Yeah.
You have books in the library. What do you mean you were fed lies? I mean,
Go read. Guys, by the way, go listen to our podcast with Benny Morris. Benny Morris is an Israeli historian, one of the authorities on Israeli history and on the expulsion of Arabs from Israel. And it's much more complex and nuanced than everybody says. Okay, so
Seth,
most of
haven't
the
you
Arabs,
listened?
most of the Arabs left because they were told to leave by their leaders. They said, "Vacate your homes. We will finish this war in a few days, and then you'll be able to return as victors." Okay, so they left voluntarily. Some were moved out of harm's way by the military,
And some stayed.
and some stayed, and some were expelled by Israeli military. Some, a very relatively small fraction.
Which is completely legal by any, it's a war zone.
And again, listen to the episode, but basically the short explanation is if you're going through a neighborhood as a military and you don't know who's an enemy and who's not, then you don't leave chances and just leave people behind in houses.
Especially since
so
we
that
were-
they can pop out and shoot you or kill you or throw a grenade. You clear the way and you say, get out of your homes, leave.
We were
taking.
500,000 and they were millions and millions, so
It's a war.
yeah.
But even in that case, only a percentage less than half were actually expelled from their homes forcibly.
Also, so many
None-
stayed, and now and
Yeah.
today their descendants are
Look at-
20% of the population, and
Yeah.
they're citizens with all the equal rights.
Look at Haifa is like a completely divided city as far as Arabs and Israelis.
Yeah.
And Jews.
So yeah, Seth, get your S together.
Yeah. No, but I mean the first part's funny. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, it's funny, but when you look into it, it doesn't make much sense. I
Yeah.
mean, in America, Jews are
also look at the Holocaust. We were
First of
spread
all, we
all
were
across
spread- yeah.
Europe,
and they put us all
they
together.
brought us together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and also in America, for example, you're spreaded out really, really thin, and you're being assimilated.
yeah.
So if that's something you're up for, that's legitimate.
Yeah, how Jewish is Seth Rogen? Like, not, I mean, he's Jewish. I'm not coming to say Seth Rogen's not a Jew, but how culturally and traditionally Jewish is Seth Rogen?
And his grandchildren.
How, yeah, exactly.
his
That's
grandchildren, how-
My next point is how culturally
took your next point.
and traditionally will his grandchildren be, and
Yeah.
their grandchildren, if they stay in the United States. They
Yep.
won't remember.
Yeah, that's maybe the blender he's talking about.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want, so okay, it's your call to make.
Yeah, it
Um,
doesn't make much sense. And then he apparently there was a text that came out that he said that his mom made him do it, which is so like, oh God, that's so weak.
yeah.
I don't know.
Very
it's also
embarrassing.
funny, but I don't know if he was trying to be funny or if it's just funny like, I don't know. Anyway, Seth Rogen.
Yeah. So Trump gave an interview to Axios.
Yes, yes, where he came out like a bumbling idiot.
Let's give it a quick listen. If YouTube allows us. So I sent this to you,
Yeah.
and you had some funny points to make.
Well, I mean, he came across as an idiot. He said some pretty insensitive things, so politically that's just dumb to say. It is what it is. But when it comes down to it, like, I'm not a politician, so I'm not afraid to say it. It's true. It is what it is. What he should say is that it's not the government's job to fight COVID. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not. It's not like that's what I think like a traditionally Republican conservative candidate would usually have said. Like, this isn't the place of the government, small government. It's a disease. It's a pandemic. There should be private enterprise to find a solution to this. We should all maybe put out guidelines and we should try and avoid this thing as much as we can. But in the end of the day, it's a disease. Like, what are you yelling at me for? And I feel like then he would have made the reporter look like an idiot. But the thing is, he was trying to fight on the reporter's like home field.
Yeah. He was
that's not
always
gonna
on
work.
defense.
Yeah, like if you're trying to argue with someone about COVID, about how you're not like the government isn't doing enough, and you're fighting from a point like that the government should be taking care of COVID, then you're always gonna lose unless your numbers are really, really good. Like unless your numbers look like Israel, you're gonna lose that argument. Like you're doing
Our
a
numbers
bad
are
job.
not that good.
Come on.
I
With,
think
like
it's
deaths
okay.
per million or
Yeah, but
pretty
sick per
low.
million, we're the highest in the world.
Okay, but deaths is what really interests me. I mean, right? Like that's what matters. If you're sick and you get better.
And severe cases are also problematic.
Yeah, I mean, if there's all of a sudden a huge spike, then this story will change. But like, as of now, we have 600 deaths. That's not like, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's-
relative to
it's-
our population, we're doing better than Sweden. But again, I
But
think
we're still
Sweden
pretty-
did better.
we're still pretty closed up.
We're still, yeah.
I heard, here you have no cultural events whatsoever. I
The
think
government's
bars,
making it rain.
I think bars are like bars that can't have seats outside are
They're-
closed.
Yeah. There was a funny story. Did you hear about the story in New York about bars?
No.
Where so it's like, what's a bar and what's a restaurant, right? If you
Yeah.
serve food. And so then they started having to and this is always the problem with government intervention, is that then you have to start drawing lines and definitions. And so it's always best for as little intervention as possible. But this is where it got funny. And the government was starting to define what's food in a bar. So they were serving peanuts or whatever, pretzels, and bars
How
were
many
like,
peanuts?
Exactly. They were like, no, it needs to be food like a hot dog or a sandwich. It's like, what? What is that? Like, how is that a law? It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe the lobbyists for the hot dog companies were,
Yeah.
put some pressure.
Exactly. Anyway,
Wow.
so I think that it's the same thing. I mean, you're taking such
But
a
the point is, you can't say that, like, you're contradicting yourself a little bit, because you're using the good Israeli numbers when it comes to death, but those little numbers have something to do with the measures that were taken by the government.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I said I think Sweden did better, because I don't think that I don't think that should be like your argument. Like, look, less
In Sweden,
of us,
they don't even put masks, by the way.
I said I think
Nobody
yeah.
puts masks
So I don't
in
think
Sweden.
they did necessarily 100% the right thing, but I think that as far as government intervention, meaning they didn't do a lockdown. I'm saying that I don't think that the metric for how well a society dealt with COVID is how little people died, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but their fear wasn't necessarily death. It was the healthcare system that would be overrun by.
I think that's always a secondary concern. It's a secondary argument that you get to after you talk about civil liberties and you say, and then people are like, well, actually, what we're worried about is the fact that maybe some people the healthcare system will get overwhelmed, and then people who don't have COVID won't be able to.
Hospitals a week ago sent an urgent request for Here,
I heard heads of hospitals talk on the news about how they're not near overcapacity.
No, but their problem is because of COVID, all the usual income lucrative operations like operations.
Like brain surgery or whatever.
They were all postponed, and now they had no income for 6 months, and now they're all about to go bankrupt. So they asked the government for so much, because all hospitals here are essentially owned by the government. They asked for huge amounts of money now to support them, and now nobody can tell them no, right?
The government is basically just like leaking money at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean,
took
we're all going to
loans.
pay for it in the end.
They took loans in London.
But we had 10% of the deaths, so it was all worth it.
Last week we got a stimulus check of $200 each.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh yeah,
Shalom
right.
just got it today, and my dad.
That's because you're
750 shekels.
anti-libertarians don't get it.
They're like, you don't like us, you don't need it.
750 shekels, man.
I would enjoy the government if they operated in that way. They're like, well, you don't. Okay, fine. So you don't get our stimulus. They were like super sensitive about criticism.
Yeah. Polish.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think there's good news coming out about COVID though. I sent you the article about T cells. So let's read a little bit about it. So there's basically this.
Guys, you can't see it, but I'm doing a skeptic face.
You are?
Yeah.
Why? You're skeptical about this?
A bit.
I mean, it makes sense.
Why did
Basically,
you take your phone out of the
case? The case broke. So I still haven't. And I went to the store to get a new one, but they after a year, they don't sell the cases.
Okay.
Anyway, so the title of the article in the New York Times is "The Coronavirus is New, but Your Immune System Might Still Recognize It." So apparently there's this thing called T cells. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're these immune cells that have memory, basically, and they remember. So they might coronaviruses are a common type of virus. COVID-19 is a specific strand of it. It's like a cousin, if you will. But there are, there's cells that are immune cells that basically have memory, and they remember similar viruses, and then they know how to cope with it if they see a similar virus. and this is something that is well known and exists, and they're saying that it might actually mean that 20 to 50% of people in some places might harbor immunity assassins called T cells that recognize the new coronavirus despite having never encountered it before.
Might.
There's a series of studies. This isn't one study. There's at least 3 studies cited here that all corroborate this. So I'm just saying it's not like it's not concrete. It's not like this is etched in stone. This is the final story.
Very little
but it's
solace to the 100 and something thousand dead in America and millions of sick.
165,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much solace to them.
I mean, solace? No, but it's it's solace to the people who are.
You can read that article in the funerals, though.
Look, most of these people are above 70.
Yeah, that's cool then.
I mean, most people who die are above 70. Let's try and save all deaths. Like, in the end, people die. They die of one thing
But
or another. They
They died sooner rather than later.
Not necessarily. They might have died this year as well. They might have died even earlier.
I guess we'll never know.
They might have died earlier is not a logical sentence.
If it were up to me, I'd kill them earlier.
No, they might have died of
Yeah, but
cancer,
their
heart
German
attack.
counterparts did not.
Okay, I understand that. Every death, first of all, it should be said, and this is why the discussion is like so, I think, superficial and low and non-intellectual, because everybody tries to drive you into
Every
a place.
conversation between us is non-intellectual.
No, because the side that tries to argue for government intervention, for how, like, it basically loves to cite the death count and how awful this thing is and how you don't care about the dying and the dead if you argue against government intervention, or if you even cite a piece of optimistic news, I don't care about the dead. It's little solace to the dead. So then the other side is forced to say stuff like it is what it is, which is what Trump said back to the Axios interview, which is exactly the point. In the end, politically, it was probably not the smartest move, but he's right. It is what it is. People die, and coronavirus sucks, but people die. And the question
people
is,
in Europe don't die. In Italy, they don't. They stop dying. In Germany, they stopped.
In Italy, they stopped dying.
In Germany, they stopped dying.
But in Italy, they stopped dying probably because it burned through the population. They took a huge, hard hit. Yes, the idea that lockdowns, New York lockdown, it has the highest rate of death
Italy
per
never
million.
reopened their schools.
Okay, but it's not because the idea. Even Anthony Fauci, who's who was the advisor for the chief surgeon, it said that lockdowns. He doesn't think lockdowns are the answer. Lockdowns are not necessarily beneficial to this thing. The idea that locking down is gonna solve the problem is not necessarily true. The data doesn't suggest that. The evidence doesn't suggest that. New York, New Jersey, California, all these places that are locking down have the highest death rate per million in the United States. New Jersey's number 1, New York's number 2. They lock down everything. It doesn't make sense that, I mean, Sweden, that didn't have one lockdown, has a much lower death per million rate. Has about a third, a fourth actually.
Still
I think
pretty high though.
No, 500 per million, whereas New York is like 100, is like 1,700. So that's like less than a third, and they didn't do a single lockdown. So lockdowns don't seem to be the answer here. I don't know what is, but again, I don't think that the idea that, like, it seems to me just cheap to be like, people are dying, and that's what seems to be the interviewer's point here. People are dying.
There's no doubt that when you look at the situation here, they did lockdown. They still have so many restrictions, and what you have here is an economic disaster and relatively good numbers.
I'm not sure that it's because of the government intervention. I think it's because, one, contrary to all the anti-Semitic tropes that have been, it's really funny because it flies in the face of the anti-Semitic tropes that have been around for centuries, that Jews spread diseases like, vermin. I think contrary to that, we're smart. and we're, as a whole population, we're smart and we're
Talk for
disciplined.
yourself, man.
And we're disciplined, meaning that the older population got wind of this. Most of them were like, all right, I'm not seeing my grandkids or whatever. I'm not, I'm not leaving the house. I think
I don't
many
know
of them
about that.
stayed home. Well, your grandparents, the
Yeah,
second they
but-
got wind of this thing, you didn't see them
But
for
I don't
months.
think it's representative. I
think
must
it's
say,
absolutely
you
representative.
you went and visited your parents and your grandmother and
Not my grandmother. I
No?
didn't see my grandmother for a few months. I didn't see my grandmother
but you were
for
there
a few months.
recently.
Yeah, because
No.
well, you can't go on forever like this, man. I mean,
But did you keep your distance and wear masks?
Yeah, for the first few times, but again,
No,
You can't.
last time.
you can't know.
Okay, we still do it.
Again,
the thing,
sababa,
that's-
but that's what I'm saying is like it's generally speaking, we're at a level up from different societies. I think
it's
from the way that we're disciplined and the way that we're treating this thing. Even without the government intervention, people were very careful. I think. I think people.
I don't think so. Not
think-
Israelis, never. But on the other hand, we paid a big price, which I'm not sure it was worth it. It's a big question. What I can tell you for sure, and people don't talk about it, and to me it's super annoying. It's so not PC to say. But when you look at the top cities, the red cities here in Israel, okay, 90% of them, if not 99, are Haredi and Arab cities. Okay, and people don't talk about it. You won't hear about it anything anywhere
Yeah, but,
but
you know
this
why
is the
that
har-
is.
because they have huge families.
No, I don't think
And
so.
they
I think
live
it's because
very-
it's socioeconomically you're at much lower socioeconomic status there, and
Okay,
that's
it
always
all
true.
has to do with it, like they are.
Yeah,
it has
big
to do with
families
big families,
or,
lower social.
so-
They don't
yeah.
work. It's all has to do with each other,
Yeah, but it's not because of
and also they pray. They went to synagogues. They went to mosques. Even sometimes illegally inside and sometimes outside, but still maybe someone didn't wear a mask.
No, but again,
they-
it doesn't have to do with prayer per se. I don't think you would find the same numbers in the national religious community, like the Dati Leumi community. You wouldn't find the same numbers in the Arab middle class community. Like, you get what I'm saying?
No.
Like
What are you saying?
meaning that if you take Arabs as a whole, then yes, you will, because many Arabs and many Haredim are low socioeconomic level, right? But if you separate them by income, I guarantee you'll see that actually it's the lower income Haredim and the Arabs that are really driving up the average.
So there, but
meaning
it doesn't
it's
matter
about,
why.
It's
The
no, it does matter, but that's what I'm saying, because pinpointing.
But it all has to
Haredim-
do with each other. We have a problem with these populations.
Have you compared those populations to just other Israeli poor people? I bet you that the number in just the poor population, meaning if you take people who are under the poverty line and compare it to the Haredi and the Arab communities, it'll be similar.
I don't know.
It's-
You have lots of poor cities in Israel, like Dimona and Migdal HaEmek, and these cities are not in those charts.
Yeah.
They're not in those charts. And the point is, like, my point is, it's not like I'm. What I'm trying to say, we have a problem. We
Which
knew
is?
that, which is
The damn Jews.
no. The problem is these populations, they don't work. Okay, in Haredi and Arab populations, in Arab populations, usually you have about one provider per family instead of two, and in Haredi you have even less than one in average provider in a family. Okay, these populations rely on us, like we pay for them. We pay for their children.
Because we live in a welfare state.
Yeah, and they're making tons of children, which they cannot afford to maintain. And they live very, it's fifut,
Close quarters.
And it all has to do with everything. Everything has got to do with everything. So
Yeah, but what are you suggesting? Like, what's the like that? Okay, that's a problem.
And
I'm saying is that
I'm saying this. I
Yeah.
argued with my mother about the healthcare system here, and I told her, listen, if these people knew that they need to pay big sums if someone gets sick. They'd be more careful. They'd be more careful.
So you want to fine them?
No, but because we finance
I see. Meaning it
their
costs money
education,
if you
because
get sick. Yeah,
we,
and like
we finance the healthcare system. Everything is financed.
yeah.
So what's the worst case scenario?
Someone gets sick,
Someone
we take them to
gets
the
sick,
hospital.
We get them to the hospital. It's free.
Yeah.
And the same with having children in the first place. We'll make another
Maybe if he
child.
gets
We'll make
crippled.
another child. What's the worst case? Like they'll never starve because we get. So there's zero responsibility in those populations.
Yeah. There's not zero responsibility. There's an incentive to act irresponsibly. The more kids you have, the more money you get. You're not incentivized to go to work. Why lose your unemployment?
Exactly. So everything's got to do with everything, I feel.
Yeah, no, I
And-
agree that that's definitely part of the problem. But I'm saying that generally speaking, I'm just not comfortable with the idea of like putting it on. It's our responsibility that there are communities that basically live off of the welfare state.
Oh, yeah, of course.
As a whole. And I think that I'm not comfortable at singling out like specific communities, like the Arab community or the Haredi community have higher levels of whatever coronavirus. I think that like generally speaking, it's socioeconomic. So the lower you are on the socioeconomic rung, the more
those
there
populations are the lowest.
Exactly.
Because
so
of
there
the
are
reasons.
more Arabs and there are more Haredim in the lower
Nachon.
socioeconomic levels. But it's a matter of being at a low socioeconomic level. And then you have to ask yourself, like, why are those cultures not getting
poor.
themselves out of that
Yeah.
rut? So there is an issue there. But anyway,
Yeah.
Corona
Never gets old.
never gets old, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's still around.
So there was a huge controversy.
Ah, yes.
So
So I don't know. You guys heard about the explosion, I'm assuming.
of course,
But just
in
for those of you
Beirut.
who haven't, there was a huge explosion in the port of Beirut in Lebanon.
We had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. We had
supposedly.
nothing to do with it. Nah.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
probably.
alleged, like, you always should add the word allegedly, but for anybody who follows Israel military operations knows that this is not the style of Israel
Yeah.
to attack in this way.
I mean,
Uh,
if Eytan was the PM,
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe,
No. Chas v'chalila. Chas v'chalila means God forbid, guys. No, seriously, it's not Israel style. Israel, like, when they're trying to, I was
We like it
listening
clean
to Kalman Libskin was saying that every time Israel wants to assassinate a Hamas military leader, they basically do this thing called knock on the roof, where they drop little tiny bombs on the roofs of all the neighbors to let them know.
yeah,
Bombs that don't even penetrate the roof.
yeah.
It just makes a loud sound so they know we're coming. And they drop pamphlets all over the place that say, this is the guy we're after. If you're him, stay. If you're not, leave. And then they expect the guy to still be there.
Yeah.
And they drop a huge bomb on his house and level the neighborhood when no one's around. So they go through all this trouble. They're not going to bomb Lebanon like that. But anyway, there was this huge explosion in the port of Beirut. So far, the death toll is around 160, I think. Thousands of injured.
160? Not hundreds of dead?
Last I read, it was 100. It was close to 200, but it
I
hadn't
thought
reached
it was-
200.
I
It won't
thought
be
it was more.
surprising because there's still, as with any of these types of incidents, there's still, many missing people, many injured,
Yeah.
critically wounded. So the death toll is rising into the hundreds.
Anyway, we offered help.
Yeah.
Although, if it were vice versa.
But wait, just a little bit of the background.
Okay.
This was it was basically a storage of ammonium nitrate.
I don't know about that. That's the official story. I don't buy it. I don't buy the story.
There's I mean, isn't there evidence that like
No, not really. Not really. Like,
looking at the
it's-
explosion also and the colors and like
I don't know.
Anyway, so the official story
I
is there
think
was a
it's more-
storage of ammonium nitrate, which is either for fertilizer purposes or for explosive purposes, and something set off. They say fireworks set off an explosion, ignited the ammonium nitrate. Which,
In reality, it was Hezbollah related stock of explosives.
No, the explosives may well have been for military
because
purposes.
they published this forged story about this ship that sailed in 2014.
The story behind the ammonium nitrate isn't clear, but it seems that it was ammonium nitrate and that it exploded. Ammonium nitrate can also be used to make explosives, chemical warheads. Maybe not chemical warheads, but they can be used to make explosives. Anyway, the blast was huge. I mean, it's some of the images and the videos are disturbing, but it was basically, it looks like a small nuclear bomb. I mean, there's a mushroom cloud, and it wipes out
It also
hundreds of meters.
Burned through like a quarter of Lebanon's wheat reservoir.
Wheat stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because it was right next to the port.
Yeah, and they're
already
food
in
problems even before that. So now
they're already in a huge economic crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we offered help.
Not we.
Like Israel.
Israel, yeah.
Offered help.
2NJP offers help to. So Israel
then
offered help, and
the mayor of Tel Aviv, Ron Huldai, decided to light the city hall building with the flag of Lebanon as an act of solidarity.
Yeah.
And then there was huge debates here whether or not it's pathetic or it's admirable.
So what do you think?
So at first I thought I was very pissed by it, and I thought that it's virtue signaling, it's pathetic, it makes us look weak. Many Lebanese tweeted things like, we'll also would love to light your municipality with the fire of our rockets and stuff, and stuff like that. I mean, it's an enemy state, and also many people who fought in Lebanon were offended by it. It triggered them.
Yeah,
they lost their friends there, so I was really pissed off. But then I had a conversation with Hanania Naftali, our friend, who was also a guest here. And he's a very big vlogger, and lots of his audiences are Arabs, like from Arab-speaking countries. And he explained to me that it's actually a good thing, because he says that there are so many people He's because I said, what's next? We're gonna put the flag of Iran on next time there's an earthquake in Iran. I mean, what's the red line here?
Yeah.
But he told me it's different because the Lebanese flag, unlike the Iranian flag that was altered after the revolution, it goes so much
farther back.
Further back, and the Lebanese people are not necessarily our enemy. There are so many people there who don't want to be an enemy, and that they love Israel, and
the Maronite Christians.
And it goes, and also Muslims.
Yeah.
And
Sunni Muslims.
I mean, you never know. I'm sure there are also one Shi'i Muslim in Lebanon who doesn't hate us. Okay, and he says this photo, it reached so many people there, and it helps, and it shows them, and they hate Hezbollah, and it's a good thing. It's a good PR move.
Good PR stunt. Yeah.
So I was pretty convinced. He's a pro, and I was like, if he says, I guess he knows.
I think
what he says.
He's very influenced also by his audience and what they say.
He
to
said
him.
people wrote him.
Yeah,
they're very excited by that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's as important as
pride.
Not pride, but the sensitivity is one of, like you said, the people who fought in Lebanon. It's an enemy state, like you said at the beginning. It just seems kind of it's like if during World War II, the Nazis had some disaster happen that was unrelated to the war. And
British
America,
and Churchill would do.
Yeah, and Churchill lit up the Big Ben with a Nazi flag. What?
Winston.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
The flag is I'm not against doing some action that expresses solidarity for the victim, with the victims of the attack, or commemorates the victims of the attack, and expresses empathy, because some of the stuff that came out was really horrific, and it really makes you like, I don't know if you saw, but there was a video also of a shopping mall.
No.
Where you see people all of a sudden, like the explosion happened, and all of a sudden people just stormed.
Flying around.
No, people on fire.
Oh, really?
Basically, people on fire running around.
Oh my God, I didn't see that one.
And people trying to help them and put them out. And, like, people just burning alive. And it's horrific. And it really is horrific. And I think that, like any human should empathize with, or should it should hurt them to see those kind of images, and to think that people had to suffer in this way is hurtful. But the flag is a national symbol. Okay, those people were not the Lebanese flag, and those people aren't, like, the Lebanese flag doesn't necessarily represent them, and they aren't the Lebanese flag. So I think putting up the Lebanese flag is something else. And the point that he made about the Lebanese flag going further back is interesting, actually. I would be interested in hearing about that. But, like, in the end, whatever its historical context is, today it represents Lebanon, which is controlled by Hezbollah. So it seems to me like just a ridiculous act. Do something else. Do something else. Put up.
TLV municipality has billions of shekels in its bank account just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not joking.
No, but I think sending aid is also just a stupid idea. Like, I think if you're going to provide aid, it has to be absolutely direct, like it was for the Syrian victims, the victims of the Syrian civil war.
Yeah.
Because there you get some payoff from the intelligence, right? And you're also sure that the aid that you give goes directly to the people.
Yeah. Here it'll end up in Hezbollah's hands, and they'll use our first aid kits.
The money will come right back at you.
Yeah.
But in a bad way. I think
what was pathetic is Macron's visit there.
Yeah, what was that even?
Turns out, like, France occupied Lebanon, so they still feel like they're
the
father,
owners.
Yeah,
the Baalei Bait.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, God.
They are so involved in Lebanon for some reason. It's like their colony as far as they're concerned, and they like report on what's going on there, and they feel responsible, and it's the most pathetic.
It's a weird relation. It's like if Boris Johnson came to the U.S. I was like, "You guys okay?"
Yeah, or to us.
Yeah.
Or to us.
So what? I mean, he went there and what? He made a speech.
He said that he's going to offer a new governmental.
Yeah, I saw that they actually pledged a certain like millions or hundreds of millions.
Yeah,
of
but
euros.
he also wanted to offer a new deal, like a new pact, a new form of government or whatever. Like he really feels like he's.
Yeah, that's going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
They had a 15-year civil war, and their country is in
They
disarray
waited for
ever
you.
since. But Macron shows up on the scene, and he's like, guys, I got an idea. How about we just all live in peace, and we live happily together? Oh, okay. Just because you said it in a French accent. Sounds like a good idea.
Also, foie gras for everyone.
Yes. Foie gras for you. Foie gras for you. What an idiot. Okay,
Dove.
well.
Can we skip the list?
I just got to say, guys, look up George Floyd body cam footage.
To the last 5 people who still listen to us after.
Look up George Floyd body cam footage. It's just it. Considering that this set America on fire, I feel like it's important evidence. Okay, it's like a court case for someone being murdered or something, and then like the person's put to death, and then evidence like this comes out. Like just search for it.
Noted.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Proud of you, man. Look
All
what
right.
little Lynchternet did to you.
Lynchternet. I like that.
Yeah.
Lynchternet. That's pretty good. Did you get that? Did you make that?
It's a Hebrew word.
What? Lynchternet?
Yeah.
Oh, voila.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Okay, guys. So see you next year, I guess.
Yeah.
In a year.
5 years. Oh, monthly. It wouldn't make sense if we did a monthly recap
Every year.
every year.
Yeah, but I mean,
It would. It would
Let's celebrate the year in a
raise
year.
a lot of curiosity.
Let's
Yeah,
celebrate
yeah,
the
yeah.
5 years in a year is
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
Definitely.
If we'll make
definitely.
it. But
Like if we don't die of corona.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you get corona and die, wow, man.
Yeah.
It'll be huge.
You'll go to my funeral and be like, I fucking told
No,
you
I'll
so.
read the T cell article on your funeral.
That would
I
be
made
funny.
a speech.
That would be hilarious. The coronavirus is new, but your immune system might still recognize it. Eytan, we'll miss you.
Okay, guys. So before we go, we collaborate with the Jewish Journal, jewishjournal.com. We collaborate with Arutz Sheva, israelnationalnews.com, and also ajn.timesofisrael.com.
Yes.
We are on YouTube, and please subscribe because we need to get to 1,000 subscribers. Otherwise, and then we can get paid by YouTube. And also...
Yes. Subscribe. Go to youtube.com/
2NJB.
2 nice
Jewish
Jewish
boys,
boys.
I think.
Yes. Just go to YouTube and search 2
Go
nice
to
Jewish
the
boys.
YouTube and search for 2 Nice Jewish Boys podcast.
Yes.
And donate.
Donate, guys. We do this on our free time, so help us out. Go to 2njb.com/donate, and send us a few of your spare bucks.
Thank you so much, and see you next time. We have some very exciting episodes coming up.
Yes.
No spoilers, but some really high-profile people,
So stay tuned.
including Eytan's auntie.
Aunt? Really? She's coming
Yeah,
out?
I booked her.
Wow.
I'm gonna talk about baby Eytan.
Tough, guys.
Bye.
Bye.